All right, we appear to be live, is my hope. And let me start my recording. For those who cannot be here, welcome. We're a couple minutes early, and I'm going to utilize that time to make sure if Bobby is here and if Bobby is listening, he should send me a text message as he is going to be my tester. So let's see what my delay is like and how quickly Bobby can send me a text message. We've got 2 minutes till we go live. If you guys are watching this live, I really appreciate you guys spending your Saturday and being here with me. If you guys are watching this on replay, I hope you're watching it at a great place, and I answer any question that you guys might have, and we can grow and build our community and get closer and closer to our goals. That text message was not Bobby, in case we were wondering. All right, Bobby gave me the good to go. We are good to go. All right, here we go. Let's start up. So, State of Friendship 5.0. So I started doing these 5 years ago, which is crazy. 2014, we had a lot of changes coming up in the community, and I started to really kind of dial in and realize that I needed to continue to connect and grow with our growing community, make sure that everybody felt really comfortable with the state of their fitness, the state of the community, and kind of where we were going moving forward. As you guys may or may not know, depending on how long you guys have been involved with CrossFit or with fitness generally, the landscape of fitness is an organic beast, just like the landscape of our coaching staff, our facility, and everything else is completely organic. And by organic, I mean it's constantly evolving, always changing. I'm always trying to get better and better and better and make things improved. And so are you guys, right? You guys are growing, adapting. Like we were talking about this the other day. There was a time when like one person could barely crack a 7-minute 2K row, or for a girl an 8-minute 2K row. There was a time where finishing the unknowns, legitimately, people thought that was like impossible. And it was like one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, who's going to be the first person to finish this insane workout? And now we have people who, finish it in like 15 minutes under the time cap at the RX weight. And so the evolution of, fitness and the evolution of all of that really is one of those things that, requires us to stay vigilant and diligent. And that's why we're always out there, trying new workout schemes, making sure that we're reading and going to seminars and staying up to date, make sure that you guys are getting the most optimized fitness that you possibly can. All right, so here we go. We're going to start first with user questions. So these were submitted through Instagram to Jenny, forwarded along to me, and we're going to start here, and then we'll dive into the presentation. So first, user questions. So will Lewis Center eventually offer traditional CrossFit? So I think this is a super interesting question because traditional CrossFit is going to be very different depending on who you are, where you are in the world, and what gym you go to. So I'm going to give you some examples, okay? When I went to Europe and I was doing CrossFit there, their CrossFit, their traditional CrossFit, what people who start and do CrossFit in Europe, at least at the time, was boot camp. Right. There was almost no barbells. Very, very rarely are they doing anything that's going to be what we would consider, what people at Friendship would consider traditional CrossFit. There's no rigs, there's no squatting, there's none of that. Right. And that was their CrossFit affiliates, the way that they operated. Same thing here in Ohio. There's a gym called Conjugate CrossFit. Right. I'm not sure. It's CrossFit Conjugate, I think. And I think they're down in Cincinnati. And they follow the conjugate method. So traditional CrossFit for them, there's also a couple here in Columbus that followed the conjugate method. Traditional CrossFit for them is powerlifting. So they would do squats on Monday and deadlifts on Wednesday and presses on Friday. And they would do that very consistently. And they would follow the conjugate method, which is a specific type of powerlifting. And then there's gyms like Ben Bergeron's and CompTrain and some of those where they do one Metcon a day. And then the entire warm-up structure is about 20 to 25, maybe 30 minutes. And you warm up and you build skills, and then you just do one Metcon a day. So there's a lot of different thoughts of what traditional CrossFit is. So I don't know who asked the question. These were anonymous, or at least anonymous to me. So I guess the question is odd because there is no traditional CrossFit, right? So will Lewis Center eventually offer traditional CrossFit? So let's break that down. What is CrossFit? CrossFit is functional movements, constantly varied, performed at a high intensity. Will Lewis Center be doing that? Yes, absolutely. They'll be doing that right out of the gate, right? Thrive is going to be very close to what we just described with Ben Bergeron's, where we're going to do one bigger, longer, higher heart rate Metcon each day. We're going to do benchmarks. We're going to do hero workouts. And, we're going to make sure that it is scaled appropriately and that the movements are going to be hand selected and tailored to people from all different skill levels. Then at the end, we're going to add some things like our Tabata and core, and we're also going to add in traditional Thrive Fit mobility and continue to try to hone in on what, Thrive Fit is and making sure that it is what some might consider to be a cardio-based CrossFit class. So that is going to be, yes, offering traditional CrossFit. We're also going to offer build, and build is also constantly varied functional movements performed at a high intensity. And high intensity is going to be relative, right? In this case, it's going to be weightlifting performed at a high intensity. So both of those classes are traditional CrossFit. The fundamental flaw in thinking, and one of the things that has really been the downfall of CrossFit affiliates or CrossFit gyms, is this thought process that traditional CrossFit is something that can be defined by, strength first and then a Metcon, or snatching and muscle ups and kipping pull-ups and kipping handstand push-ups, when at no time, if you read the original fundamental documents of CrossFit, which if you guys are going to be doing CrossFit or fitness for a while, you absolutely should be reading those. They are unbelievably educational and they will point you in the right direction for fitness for the rest of your life. And unfortunately, because of really the CrossFit Games doing a huge disservice to affiliates and really to purveyors of CrossFit, they started to focus on the really, really high end because that's what CrossFit Games was focusing on. And unfortunately, that version, the competitive version, became synonymous with traditional CrossFit. So, my reading of that is, will we offer traditional CrossFit? By that, do you mean, will we focus on things like, snatching and muscle ups and handstand push-ups in the really high-end skill stuff? No, we won't focus on that, right? Ever, probably. It will be something that we do. Again, constantly varied. So we will try to hit on every piece as much as we possibly can, just like we do in Dublin, just like we have for years. But will it be, a focus? I would say no, right? The CrossFit Games has proven to be something that is mostly detrimental to everyday human beings, myself included, and many of the people that you guys are familiar with. And so we have to make sure that we have a focus on training and high quality training and low injury rate first, and then secondarily from there, once we have people achieving goals, being healthy, successful in their life, their work, whether they're a firefighter or whether they're in the military. Shout out to Tunisia. She is the fittest person in the Army, I think, or Army Reserves in Ohio. That to me is significantly more important than making sure that, we're getting people some of the higher end skill stuff. I want to make sure that they are fit and healthy and happy first. Once they're there, then we certainly will be able to take them to higher and higher levels. What direction will Dublin be going with programming? And honestly, and will we be doing cycles and test outs? That's going to be a huge chunk of today's conversation. So I'm going to kind of hold that. The short answer is yes for the second question. And the direction you guys will see. That's going to be a big conversation for today. Will Dublin coaches be going to Lewis Center? Ryan is going to be the only coach right now that is going to be pulling double duty. The other coaches right now are going to be Coach Brian Omasta, who you guys may know as the goofy tall guy who's married to Vanessa and used to like to dance with Maria at 9:30 a.m. And I'm super excited about that. He has chosen to, much like coaches before him and some of the coaches that you guys love and enjoy. He has chosen to leave his profession with Honda and come over and coach for us, which is amazing and humbles me to my core that people are willing to do that for us in our community. And so obviously my job is to work my tail off to make sure that he has a great career with us. And then Kaylee, who's coming from Route 33, and I think you guys are going to love, she's a dietitian by trade. She ran their teens and kids program over there for a while, along with other classes, and I think she's going to be a fantastic addition. And then you guys are probably familiar with Shelby and Amanda, who are also going to be helping out Ryan and myself to get Lewis Center off the ground. And then, Jenny, Mitchell, Maria, Andy, all these people have a leg. We are a team unit, so they won't be going to Lewis Center. I don't expect them to be there at all during the week. However, they will obviously be have their hands in helping us out and making sure that if we need help in coaches training or in making sure that the culture is taken from Dublin and is built in Lewis Center the right way. If Lewis Center is doing build and thrive, will Dublin transition to that or stay like it is? So this is a great question. I don't have an answer to this because the thought process for build and thrive being the core focus at Lewis Center is we think that it is a better way to train throughout the week as opposed to compete throughout the week. And so we want to try that methodology and see if we're able to reduce the injury rate and really get people closer to their goals. And if that is the case, if we see that there is a significant improvement with lower injury rates, better class structures, people feeling happier about it, and people at Dublin can come and they can try a build class or a thrive class. They can see the choice structure, which is really my goal. There is choice, right? You can look left or look right based on how you're feeling for the day, and you can say, hey, I am feeling doing Fight Gone Bad today. I am feeling the higher heart rate. I am feeling like doing something that's a little bit more fast pace, right? So I'm going to go do Thrive today. I really don't feel like breathing hard today. I just want to lift some weights. These guys over here are doing, tempo deadlifts today and then some hamstring and glute work. And I really want to have like the nicest butt in the world going into sweatpants season so I can be like Coach Eric. And if that's the case, then, I might choose build that day. And really, a lot of that is going to get to our discussion today about goal-centric training. So will Dublin transition to that? I don't know. I don't think so. My hope would actually be to utilize Build and Thrive as an alternative offering throughout the day more often. So 5:30, like Monday, Wednesday would be Thrive, and then 5:30 alternate class would be Tuesday, Thursday Build. So it would be like there would be 2 class offerings. So you could choose to do CrossFit that day, or you could choose to do Build or Thrive that day, depending on kind of where we were at, and then see where people are at with that, see if people like that, and see kind of what the feedback is. And I think that's the idea. And, I love the Dublin structure. I love programming like that. But there is definitely a little bit of a gap when we start thinking about deconditioned newer people who need to train in the AM, and making sure that they are receiving the adequate coaching from one-on-ones. They feel good about everything, and then can come into the class structure and be successful inside of that. And obviously, sometimes with CrossFit, with challenging some of you studs out there and being accessible and inviting towards some of the new people, that is obviously a challenging balance for us. All right, goals. So goals for our talk today. We are going to communicate the vision and direction of friendship, and then obviously make sure that we're sharing some of our exciting updates, which honestly, we have quite a few of them, and these are both facility, these are systems, these are programming, and all that kind of stuff too. And I'm not a read off the slide kind of guy. I don't want to be, and some of these slides are going to be more for people who can't be here, and maybe people who want to follow along with the podcast or with something like that. And then making sure, honestly, guys, as our staff continues to grow and as it becomes something where our communication as a team is really, really good right now, but we also need to start realizing that as our coaching staff starts to expand and as we start to implement and build new interns and new coaches and start to have people go through our process to become a coach at Friendship, which is something that I place a high degree of pressure on, I guess. Like, I want people to be so proud to go, around Columbus to other facilities and be proud in saying that I coach at Friendship, and that is synonymous with being a very high quality coach, somebody who is, absolutely addicted to excellence. They're working on themselves as a person. They're working on themselves professionally as a coach. But one of the things that we know through our communication is that it is give and take, right? We need to know and communicate with the clients to make sure that they are maximizing their ability to improve, but minimizing their risk of injury, and making sure that we are helping people meet and exceed their goals and that they have goals. And we're going to talk a lot about goals today because I know that that's kind of a weird buzzword, especially for some of you guys who have been around for a while. Discuss some lessons learned, passion projects, and how to be the most successful part of our community. All right, so some recaps on things. So facility upgrades in 2019, we did a bunch of stuff. Outdoor workout facility really was probably my favorite. The new shower and changing area is completed, and I know that it pertains to a small percentage, but I think it's been very helpful and a much needed improvement. And guys, knock on wood, we haven't had a plumbing disaster in like a year, which for those of you guys who don't know, you might have seen me in the slap closet cleaning room with a drain snake that we had to buy because we had so many plumbing problems, and sitting in there just for like hours snaking our drains that were like a huge problem for years. And there's nothing like pulling out the things from that drain that I've had to pull out over the years, and to have that not happen in a few years. I hope I did not just jinx it, because that has been something that is a huge benefit in my life. So the new shower changing area, the changing of the bathrooms, the front urinal, some of those things have made a massive improvement, and thus we were able to save and invest that money elsewhere, which has been great. Coaches conference room, physical therapy room, nutrition room. A lot of this stuff, guys, is coaches improvements, coaches quality of life, coaches communication, which ends up being a better product for you guys. So making sure that our coaches are cross communicating between our nutrition team, between coaches of the AM and the PM, and making sure that we're aware of injury risks, we're aware of accountability problems, and we can help communicate those things. So the more our space promotes that, the better off we will be. And then obviously making sure the physical therapy room is set up for Jenny so that she can come in and help people get back on their feet after an injury. Front desk, and I hope that you guys enjoy Rye up there as much as I do. A few things in the world make me happier than walking into the gym today and getting a big, healthy hello from Rye with his fresh haircut, looking great, and hit me with some positivity. And he's just a very impressive 17-year-old young man to be there, later evenings on Fridays, earlier on Saturdays, and be somebody who is as reliable as he is. So it's been great. He's stepped into that role and stepped up big time. And, I hope that he's helped you guys, or at least given you a smile here or there over the last little bit. So our early 2020 goals, so flat screens for weekly programming. So we're going to switch away from the whiteboards a little bit and start to bring ourselves into the 21st century with things, and start to put up the weekly programming on some Black Friday deal televisions that will go basically above the check-in screen right now. So we'll have two TVs, one for programming, one for check-ins, and that'll become basically our new bring it to the board spot. And that'll allow a bunch of different things. That'll allow some intent. That'll allow some consistency across classes. That'll also allow our morning coaches to be a little bit more present for some of the early morning clients, making sure that they can communicate rather than spending 10 to 15 minutes to write things up on the board and just prep the class structure. So that's going to be a big time saver. I know the morning classes and even in the evening classes, coaches are very excited about that. And then this is a big one for you guys. What I am going to be rolling out here in a few weeks is sending out PDFs, and we're going to want to make sure that we have an updated email address for you guys so that you can get that where you want it. We're going to be going off of whatever is in PushPress for that or UpLaunch for that, and we'll be sending that out each week. And basically what that's going to be is a PDF of programming for Dublin. That'll be for CrossFit classes prior to the week. If you guys are in your small group stuff, so if you guys are in gymnastics, you guys are in build, you're already kind of getting this. And if you guys did squat cycle a few years ago, you kind of know what this is going to look like. So it's two parts. The first is just going to be the programming. We're probably not going to install a lot of the warm-up stuff. It really is going to be the meat and potatoes of whatever the workout is going to be. And then we're also going to put the intention and the focus for that day. My hope with that is that you guys are, number one, able to stay within the intention and focus. One of the things that we see a lot is a day is built to be a little bit more of, a blood flow day, a deload day, a day after we have stressed the body and the joints very, very, very much, right? And we need to come back and sort of de-stress those joints, but we want blood flow. We want to exercise our aerobic system. We want those things. And depending on where people are at, if they've come, Monday through Wednesday, and this is a Thursday, they're going to want to make sure that they stick to that intention for the day. Now, if they haven't made it Monday through Wednesday at all, and Thursday is their first day, obviously you can change your intention and focus based on what your week looks like. But my hope is that conversation will help people see a little bit more of how the weeks are kind of laid out. And they also can then path their week ahead of time and say, well, I really want to develop my strict pull-up. And I see that we're doing strict pull-up accessory on Tuesday, or we're doing pull-ups then in the workout on Saturday. So I need to make sure that I prioritize Tuesday and Saturday, even if I'm not normally like a Saturday workout person. Okay. So that's another hope for that is, again, this is going to get back to our goals talk here in a second and make sure that that's something that's valuable. So this is something that I've seen, have some success in other gyms. And my hope is that this will be something that you guys will enjoy and is very helpful to your weeks. Upgraded rope system. So this is something we're going to be doing here later this week, actually, is we're going to be dropping some chains down, and we'll be moving to basically it'll be about a 16, 17 foot rope. So for those of you guys who loved doing 20-foot rope climbs, unfortunately, we will not have that as an offering anymore. A little bit of a safety issue on two different ends, coming up and coming down, but also the fact that we can only change ropes with a scissor lift that we have to rent that is very expensive, and ropes are also very expensive. So I know it seems crazy, but those ropes that we climb on, they're like $115 a piece. So to redo our entire rope system with the scissor lift and everything else costs over $2,000. So we're trying to minimize that cost and then also provide fresher ropes more often. So we're going to be able to do this new system with a ladder. And so that's going to be something where we can maybe refresh the ropes twice a year for the same cost as what we used to be able to do only once a year. So that'll be something cool. And then we're going to work on finishing up a lighting upgrade, both in the interior rooms, and then we'll start working on the exterior rooms sometime in the future. End of 20 and 21 goals. So this will be something where we hope to get it in 2020, but a lot of that's going to depend on kind of how we do and how the new year goes and all that stuff. We're looking to upgrade the matting. I personally am sick of the stall mats, and there is a better, if you guys have ever been down to Rogue and you've seen the new flooring systems, they're a little bit better, and I would like to do that. I think it's going to lead to easier cleanup and then also less kind of gaps. The downfall of that is you guys who do 6-foot broad jumps during the unknowns, you guys might have to get away with 4-foot broad jumps during the unknowns. So we'll find a new structure for that. And then we're also going to pair that up with probably a new floor layout. So we'll probably move the rig to produce a little bit better spacing for the class structure layout. And then upgraded wall structure. So now that we're moving to the flat screens, we can move away a little bit from the whiteboards, and we'll probably work to more of like a rolling whiteboard system. We're not going to get rid of all of them. We're just going to get rid of them kind of throughout the main process. And then fresh paint, look and feel. So you guys might have seen the Lewis Center video. We'd like to have a similar wall at Dublin, so there's some continuity and feel between the two. And this is something, just some future facility goals for us. And all that's going to lead to not only a better feeling when you're in the facility, but also, better layout and structure so that more walls can be used for more things. And we can also make sure that the whiteboards are something that can be utilized kind of at any area. So the rolling whiteboards are going to be easier, and we're going to produce more wall space for things like handstands or wall climbs. All right, so let's start talking first about vision and direction. So the core mission, guys, change the world one friend at a time. Okay, that is our slogan, and that is our mission. And what that really means to us, guys, is a little bit what I talked about in the last podcast. So making sure that we understand that it's about us, right? At first, you come into the facility and you say, I'm struggling with X and Y and Z, right? And that might be everything from like, hey, I'm running Ironmans and I'm in amazing shape, but I'm getting kind of bored of working out by myself. I'm getting kind of bored of spending all that time away from my family and doing all these things. And you know what? I just want to come in, meet some fun people, get a workout in an hour, and get home for the day, and maybe build my body back up from a strength perspective. All the way to, that's maybe one end of the scale, all the way to, hey, I'm in my 60s. I've never worked out together, or I've never worked out at all, and I need to be taught everything. I need to learn the movements. I need to learn the exercises. I need to learn how to exercise. And I need to learn how to eat. And everybody's going to fall when they first join somewhere in that spectrum. And at first, we have to figure out our own stuff, our own habits. We have to get to the point where we're coming consistently 3 to 4 days a week, where we're eating with intention, we're moving with intention, and we've done that very consistently. We've built up really rock solid habits. And then, so that's sort of our change the world, right? It means change your world, right? And the second piece then is one friend at a time. That sort of means start with you, and then we're going to work to take that to, the most important 4 or 5 people in your life, or maybe 6 or 7 or 8 people in your life, and start to think about, how do my healthy habits impact my son and daughter's healthy habits, my significant other's healthy habits? Am I a supporter? Am I an energy giver? Am I somebody who enables that person to make healthy decisions? Or am I always the person who's, making the decision to grab a pizza on the way home, or to grab cookies, or to skip workouts because I want to sit by the fire and watch a movie? And that in turn makes my significant other, not come to the gym that day. And obviously, we want to be more in the boat of positively influencing people. And I think that's a big part of what we talk about, is not just staying within your own world and always working on yourself, but a big part of your success moving forward in the future, once we start to get beyond 5, 6, 7 years and you've locked your habits down, a big part about that, continued success is going to be, how do you take that to the other people in your life? So how we're going to do that. First, we're going to start by really focusing in on this, and this is where I'm a bit obsessed right now with our coaching staff, is goals and results-driven facility. And so we've established some tracks that we're going to talk about, and making sure that our tracks have a solid testing protocol. And this gets back to that original user question about testing and cycles and everything like that. Going to have a big discussion on level method, which is going to be a really cool way for us to implement that, and then our retesting structure. The friendship core 4 is going to become one of our new staples. So kind of like the unknowns, or 4th of July Murph, or whatever it is. This core 4 kind of concept is going to be something that we've created together as a coaching staff, that is going to be sort of friendships baseline. And so this will create a really cool structure for the year. And then at the end here, guys, we'll talk a little bit about the expectations that you guys can have of us and what we can have of you. All right, so goals, results, and tracks. So when I say result-driven training, here's kind of what my blueprint on this is. And for some of you guys who are brand new, this should make a lot of sense to you, right? You should have come in, you should define some goals, develop a plan with your coach, and then begin training, and then make sure that you establish some tests and retest. And so if we haven't done that with the coach, your coaches should be kind of connecting with you sometime soon. If you guys have been around for a while, one of the big things that we see for people is they struggle to define your goals. They struggle with the first step. And if we can't establish the first step, then it's really hard for us to move our way down into the steps. And so what we're going to try to do is make sure that we give you guys the tools through level method and through these tracks to make sure that you do feel like you can define some goals. So the first track is going to be the body track. And what this is going to do, really, this terminology is just something that's going to make it easier for us to communicate as coaches with you, and then easier for you to communicate with coaches who maybe don't understand. You can be like, hey, I'm on the body track. I really want to focus on, making sure that I look and feel the way that I want to. And I'm focused mostly on health, wellness, looks. I want to be leaner. I want to lose weight. I want to be more muscular. I want to be this. I want to be that. And as a byproduct of that, I want to make sure I'm healthy. So what we're thinking about, if you're on the body track, you're going to have some tests. Obviously, the simple one is doing some biometric testing, whether that be in-body at Dublin or Fit3D at Lewis Center. And obviously, one of the big focuses for health and wellness guys, as well as aesthetics and looks, is increasing your basal metabolic rate and your total daily energy expenditure. If you guys don't know what that is, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you guys go through at least a base consultation or a communication with one of the nutrition coaches to understand how you can get hit those numbers and track those numbers, and how you can understand what affects those numbers, because that is unbelievably important. And really, if I had to boil health down to like one metric, if I absolutely had to boil it down to one metric, it would be a race between body fat percentage and BMR and TDE. So those two are going to be probably some of our best markers of health and wellness, along with, obviously, there's a lot of different blood tests you can do and things like that. Before and after pictures, obviously, that's going to be mostly a self-aesthetic thing. So making sure that you feel good and comfortable with your own body and you have good self-confidence. And honestly, guys, I think the biggest thing with that one is people obsess about, not being maybe perfect or where they were, or, I'm not a movie star, or I'm not, Thor or whatever. And really all we're looking for is some degree of either maintenance or improvement. And the littlest bit, that little 1%, hopefully that you guys can find that motivating, and you don't obsess on the negative, that you're not where you want to be ultimately. And you can focus on the positive, which is I made incremental change, which is the most important part, guys. It's that kind of accumulation of that 1%, those small little victories, and making sure that we take the time to appreciate those victories. That'll help build the confidence. That'll help you guys feeling better about how you look and feel. Second track, guys, is going to be our move track. So talking about some example tests here, these are going to be people who are really focused in on movements. Okay. So these are people who are like, I want to get better at snatching. I want to get better at muscle ups. I want to get better at handstand pushups. I want to get better at, whatever. I want to get my back squat up. I want to get my bench press up. And they're really, really focused specifically on the strength and capacity of functional movements. Okay. These tests are going to be things where, number one, we need to make sure that we set realistic expectations. Okay. This is one of the biggest issues here is we have people who don't have good strict pull-ups locked in, and they're jumping and worrying about muscle ups, right? We don't have good handstand structure or overhead mobility, and we're worried about handstand push-ups, right? We can't do a good solid air squat with proper mechanics, and we're worried about our back squat 1 rep max. So making sure, and this is something where there has to be some degree of progression. This is where level method's going to come in really helpful for a lot of you guys, but also just making sure generally that you have a communication with a coach that is honest and open to have that discussion. And you need to make sure that if you guys are setting those goals, you're open to the feedback and the process that's going to be given to you. And this is something that, especially when I used to work with competitors or people who wanted to be competitive, it was something where people would come in and I would tell them what it would take to get a muscle up or to get good at muscle ups, right? Because our goal is not just maybe one, it's maybe to get like 10 in a row. And you would tell them what it would take. And for where they are now to where they want to go is a very long journey. And I would try to be as honest and open with that as possible. And what you'd see is that would demotivate people. And that was something that I always found challenging as a coach was, you don't focus on the end goal. The problem is you came in here with an end goal and, almost like saying, hey, I want to make it to the NBA. It's like, well, and I'm sitting there, it's like, okay, well, to make the NBA, like you have to make your middle school team, then you have to make your high school team, then you have to play varsity, then you have to start, then you have to probably get into a Division I program, then you have to sit the bench for a couple years, learn the game at a higher level, then you have to continue to hone your skills, then you have to play on your college team, then you have to excel on your college team, then you have to stand out the combine. There's this big process. And if you don't understand that at the end of the day, when you say that and you're in 8th grade, the only thing that sits right in front of you is making sure that you make the basketball team and you listen to your coach and you improve that year. Because that's all you can control at that time, right? And so if you say, hey, I want to get a muscle up, or I want to be able to get 3 or 4 muscle ups in a row, and we're still not to the point where we have strict muscle ups or we can't do a dip yet, that's fine. Don't get discouraged when your coach tells you, well, we have to work on this strict pull-up cycle for quite a while first, and we have to develop our strict ring dips for a while. This is probably going to take us 3 to 6 months if you're really diligent, and then so on, so on, so on. And they lay out this plan for you. Don't get discouraged by that. Just focus on instead, what did they say was the first step? And let me put all of my energy towards that first step. And if you do that and you just take it, bit by bit by bit by bit, you'll be one of those people that eventually starts to get, not just 1 muscle up, but 2 muscle ups and 3 muscle ups. And you see these people all the time, right? This is like right now, this is like Avery and Sam Vondenheuvel in Tunisia, who have been sticking to the process of Gymnastics Club, going through slow incremental improvements and changes, accepting that and being positive and open to that feedback, growing and developing, and then making those progressive pieces. And now they're getting to the point where they're on the muscle ups and they're starting to work to improve those muscle ups. Third one, guys, is work. And so this is funny to me, kind of going back to that first question, traditional CrossFit, right? Think about how different these two tracks are, right? So this one is talking about like what specific movements and developing and honing in on specific movements, becoming stronger, more stabilizing, more, connected, all those things. And then work is sort of the exact opposite boat. And how cool is it that we can have people training inside of a class and really working on all 3 or even 4 of these tracks at the same time? Through focus, through communication and connection with their coach. And I think that this is truly incredible is to see. And I love it, obviously, if we can get people who are improving on every track. Like they look better, they're improving their 1 rep maxes, they've PR'd their 2K row. And, this is like Jeff Nilsson pops to mind, right? The guy who's like PRing his 2K row. He's always PRing lifts. He takes these before and after pictures and you're just like, wow, like he looks so much better. And so that's always something that's really cool to see is when somebody is really knocking out every track. But what we're going to try to focus on is what do you want your focus track to be? So these are your example tests here. These are the people who like come in and they're like, oh, we have to lift today. Like, I just want to do the Metcons. Like, I like the long days. I like the chippers. I like the this. I like the that. And so these are more your cardio bunnies and junkies and the people who like to breathe hard and, like to go through kind of some of those grindy processes of having to work, right? So 2 very different people, but making sure that we communicate those and we establish some good tests to make sure that we're improving our work capacity. And so what we can think about then is, what is my goal? Is it to get stronger at my strength? In which case, for me, right, work is probably my strength, right? So I could say, I want to double down on that. I want to be on the work track and I want to really, really hammer and focus in on getting my, 5K row under 17 minutes, right? Whatever it is, or getting my mile time under 5:30 again. And you start thinking about that's going to be my track. And I'm focusing on taking my strength, taking what I love, taking the stuff that I enjoy doing. And I'm going to try to focus on really sort of specializing and making sure that that's something that I'm growing and improving at. I'm going to articulate that to the coach. The coach can then give me recommendations. Well, okay, for you, you're pretty advanced on that 5K row. So we're going to probably need to start thinking about doing some interval work, some interval running, some additional cardio pieces, and making sure that like our time spent at home is not just sitting down, but we're getting our heart rate elevated and increasing our aerobic system to make sure that we're making that happen. Or you could think about, I'm going to work on my weakness. Okay. In which case you're like, man, I'm sitting there and like right now, body's probably my weakness, right? I'm at a higher body fat percentage than I've probably been in the last 10 years. My eating has not been quite as dialed in as I've been, on the road more, and things are, not as crisp and consistent. So I don't look the way that I, have looked in the past. And so if that's something for me where I'm like, like I miss that, and this is a weakness for me, this is something I know I could do better at, I'm going to get with my coach, and then I'm going to need some additional accountability from that and make sure that I'm working on that. So you can choose which one you feel like you want to be at. Do you want to work on your weakness? Do you want to work on your strength? Or is there just something specifically you want to work on? And then the last one, guys, and this is for people, if I talked about those tracks and you guys are like, I just don't know if any of that's me. I don't know if I care about any of that. I don't care if I don't care about how I look. I don't care about my health. I don't care about any of that TDEE stuff. Then maybe you're just more of a consistency person, right? For you, it's more about the mental acuity gained from working out, right? You become more focused. You're less stressed. You understand the health benefits of it, that it's important, but it's not like the most important thing in the world to you. And so for you, we're focused more on, making sure that we have some degree of consistency, and those consistent habits are helping us, build some of that health and wellness and make us feel really confident in our health and nutrition plan. So I gave you guys some consistency here, whatever that might look like. And these are all just offerings. It wouldn't be each of these. You wouldn't tell your coach, I want to work on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And over here, I want to do all of those tests: 5K, 2K, 500 meter, 5K, 1K, or 5K, 1 mile, 400, 300, Murph, fight combat. I want to do all of them. I want to test them all this week because I want to get better at all of them, right? You'd pick like the 1 or 2 that you really wanted to focus on, and you'd kind of hammer away on those. And that would be our focal point for, a few months. then we would retest to make sure that our improvement was there. And so this gets back into the testing protocol stuff. So these are all going to be offerings and things that we're going to be working on testing across the board here, whether it be movement. Obviously, body is always available for you to be testing, but whether it be some of these movements or whether it be some of these work pieces. And then obviously consistency is something, again, much like the body piece that you can always be kind of testing on, right? You can start this at any time, right? And you can start your test at any time too. You can reach out to a coach and be like, hey, I missed the last 2K row day, and I really want to see if I improved on that. And that'd be something that I would love to improve on this year. So I'm going to plan on signing up for Row Club starting in January. I'd like to increase my not only knowledge and form on rowing, but I'd also like to improve my energy and consistency and so on. So these are our tracks. Those are our 4 tracks. We start thinking about people, right? It's easy for us to talk mostly about beginners because they've been sort of going through this process for a while now. This is when you guys have like a brother, sister, or whatever, friend, cousin, work coworker who comes in. And, it's like, hey, like I want them to come in. I want them to, kind of start at friendship. It's like, cool, we're going to start and we're going to sit down. We're going to have a discussion and we're going to listen to the things that they want to be developing. Why do you want to change in your fitness? What's going on in your life? How can we improve that situation? And we're going to make sure that then we give them the prescription that's going to help them the most. And so like a great example would be somebody who comes in, they're 35, 40% body fat. They're a smoker. They're drinking soda. They're at work long hours, they sit a lot, and they're maybe starting to feel the effects of that into their 40s. Ooh, first water break. All right. They're starting to feel the effects of that and starting to wear on them, right? So if you can think about that, like, okay, what would our tracks be? Right? And I would probably say between that, it's probably going to be mostly a consistency track. It could be a body track as well, because that's going to be important also. Both of those are probably going to have some degree of, when we look at the consistency track, we're probably going to focus more on maybe some of the nutrition accountability and maybe even thinking about weekly consistency meetings. So making sure that we're discussing the habit improvements and stuff. If instead you get somebody who comes in and they're saying, hey, I've been doing... I did CrossFit for like 8 years and, I was pushing pretty hard. I got my numbers up pretty high. I started to feel pretty good about things. And, then I moved and I didn't find a community and I've kind of been out of shape and overweight since. And I haven't been feeling great about things. And, I don't really know where to go. It's like, okay, cool. Let's focus mostly on building out your movements again, if that's what you liked, if that's what you focused on, right? And let's make sure that you're moving really well. Your flexibility, mobility, balance, and coordination are dialed in, and you're not going to get injured when you come back in. And then we can reestablish, once you're back in the door and you're moving well, we can reestablish what's going to be your important focus, whether it's move or work, right? They might be more performance focused. So those are some global examples of kind of how this is going to run. So how does this affect me, right? You guys might have been listening for a while and been like, all right, how does this affect me? So what we want to think about here is if we can articulate a track, if we can understand where we're going and we can understand what we want to be focused on, then we can communicate that to coaches and our coaches can give better spot corrections, cues, and scales, right? If your focus is to build work, we might not be taking that power clean up super heavy for today, right? If your goal is consistency and you want to make it 5 days a week and that deadlifts sometimes can flare your back up and make things super challenging, well, that's going to give that coach the ability to walk over and say like, hey, this is only the 3rd workout this week. You have 2 more to go. We know that deadlifts have a propensity to kind of flare your back up. So let's make sure that today we're focused mostly on movement and we're going to stay a little bit lighter. We might sumo deadlift a kettlebell. So you're still getting work in the system, but we're being smart and aware with our goals. Okay. Or vice versa, right? Maybe the workout's going to be some sort of an interval work that has some cardio component, some gymnastics component, and some weightlifting component. And you are a move person. You're like, I want to PR my power clean. Like I am so focused on getting to my 300-pound squat clean. That is all I want in the world is that 300-pound squat clean, right? Well, it's okay. We've got cleans today. Now it's mixed in with some cardio. And if you were to prioritize the cardio, you might not be able to clean that heavy. So let's maybe think about dropping the calories down on those, on the calorie structure, on the cardio pieces. And then let's make sure that we maximize our ability to set up and have a really good, clean, solid, consistent form and get up a little bit heavier than maybe we thought. Because of that, guys, we should see a decrease in overuse injuries because we're training a little bit smarter and we're training goal focused. And it's just, again, going to make sure that we are showing you guys the tangible, measurable results with your coach. And that's kind of our big piece here. And then obviously we talked about the realistic goals, right? Making sure that our realistic goals and levels of achievement are just that right there. They're not something where we're talking about, we want to achieve this, and that's not really either realistic or that's not something that we should be focused on right now, right? Like if we are focused on PRing our 1 rep max back squat, but we're still smoking and we're still drinking soda and beer every night, and we're still at 30-40% body fat, and we have serious health concerns, worrying about your 1 rep max back squat is not the right position for you. And that's something that needs to be communicated, through a coach and through an accountability system. So let's talk about level method. And this for a lot of you guys is going to be something this is going to be something that we've purchased into. There's going to be an app for this so that you guys can track where you guys fit in each one of these categories. We'll show you a little bit tighter. It's basically a belt system. And so you can see each belt, white belt has 2 levels, yellow belt has 4 levels, orange belt has 4 levels, blue 4, purple 4, brown 4, and then you have a black belt. And this helps us with setting realistic goals. So let's say the black belt over on rings is like a bunch of muscle ups, right? So let's say it's like 30 muscle ups for time and under 5 minutes, right? Something like that, okay? So let's say that is your black belt on rings. Okay, well, what we can do is we can look back here. I think you guys can see my cursor. Look back here and we can say, okay, I'm here. What is my next goal? My next goal is here. And that's my only focus. I'm going to focus on that for like 3 to 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. Okay, and then I achieve this level. Now my next goal and focus is here. And we have this whole laid out plan testing structure for us to achieve. And it's really, really cool because we can find it across every domain, right? So there's a flexibility one, there's aerobic, there's running. So these are some of our work pieces down here. These are some of our move pieces up here, right? And these are some of our move strength pieces up here, okay? It also comes with some really cool safety rules and some other information and education for us to make sure that we understand the why behind what we're doing. And so we're going to use this concept. This is going to be something that we do a little bit more in depth, but plumbing, ventilation, and electricity. And this is kind of an easy way for people to understand the intention of a workout. What are we actually doing this for? And so that'll be a part of our PDF structure, is trying to, again, discuss the intention and thought process. So this then, what we would do is let's say we're move track. We're going to focus in what we want our move track to be. Let's just take the top 2, okay, and we'll slide. Boom, top 2. Okay, front squat, upper body pull. All right, and we're going to take the top 2 and we're just going to focus in on, these are my movements that I want to improve upon. Okay. And you're going to be somewhere, and obviously remember, this is taking out this is showing like from here, and then this is showing like here. Okay, so it cuts out that whole middle chunk. So don't freak out when you see that we go from a 5-second chin over bar hold to a 0.7 times body weight strict pull-up. Okay, so this is a good way, and it's kind of male, female, right? So your black belt male is front squatting 355 pounds or more. Okay, front squat female 240 pounds or more. Upper body pull 0.7 times body weight for men 0.55. That's your black belt goal. Okay. And then obviously our white belt, we start with, you have to be able to hang from the bar, right? Period. Okay. That's our first step. If we can't get there, we have to establish that, right? And then same thing, we grow, and we move up. So what we're going to find then is you talk and you say, hey, I would really want to work on my pull-ups. I want to get to that strict pull-up. That strict pull-up, I think, starts at blue, right? So that's where the strict pull-up is. So if we're like back in this early orange and you want to get to blue, great, right? We're at orange 1. We're going to try to work to orange 2 and orange 3. We're going to set a 3-month protocol for each of those to make sure that we achieve that. And then by month 9, we should be able to test and get our strict pull-up. And that's our plan. And right there, you have a plan. And that's what I want to start to work towards, is a system where people feel like they are able to easily talk to a coach and establish a plan for them to achieve that success. And this is the movement in the work track. Okay. The body track, the consistency track, that's much more like an actual conversation with a coach, and that's an accountability thing, and that's a talk with the nutrition team and so on. This is much more the move and work track for you guys who are really like driven by performance and performance focus. So this will be here in January, and this will be something that we start to work towards. You guys will get the app. We'll begin doing some of the tests, and then some of those tests will help us drive what our focus is. So this gets back to that original question, is cycles and tracks and so on. Okay. So when we start thinking about this, guys, and we start thinking about how our structure is going to be laid out, this is going to be 1 degree of us using testing structure and then cycles to be able to say, hey guys, right now, oh man, I keep doing slides wrong. I'm sorry, guys. Our focus right now is going to be the top 3 categories for this cycle. Okay. So our tests are going to be a 1 rep max front squat. It's going to be an upper body pulling test, which is going to be a wide variety. It might be a weighted pull-up for some. It might be max strict pull-ups for some. It might be max ring rows or bar rows for some. It might be max chin over bar hold. It might be max hanging from the bar, right? Depending on where we're at on the spectrum. And then we're going to do our lactate tolerance workout. Okay. And that's going to be our focus. And then what we're going to do is we're going to train those things. We're going to train the front squat. We're going to train the upper body pull. We're going to train lactate threshold or lactate tolerance. And then at the end of that cycle, and I'm going to keep things tight, probably going to go about 8 weeks, we're going to test out again. And our hope is that some people are able to move up 1 level in 8 weeks. That's our hope with that focus. Okay. So that's 1 degree of testing. Okay. Another degree of testing is going to be more annually. And this is where our core 4 comes in. So this is something for me, if you guys have been paying attention, the CrossFit Open used to be something that I think, I used to kind of look forward to, kind of not. The problem for me with the CrossFit Open became that we really weren't testing improvement. And if you really think about that, here's the conversation that I had with athletes every year was this conversation about placement, right? So I want to place top 200 in the region. I want to place top 100 in the region. And the problem became that by every measure of fitness, every single test that we did, they improved, right? They got better. That person was more fit. They were more lean. They dialed in their nutrition better. They were a healthier individual. Yet, other people, which is out of their control, who might be younger, who might move better naturally, who have better genetics, who came from better sports programs, whatever, they came in, they started, and they excelled beyond them. So then that individual didn't finish top 200 or didn't finish top 100. And then they left the Open super disappointed. I just thought to myself, this is so stupid, right? You got so much better. It's clear as day. You weren't even able to do these movements last year, and now you're doing them in workouts for reps. And people would leave disappointed. It's like, it was so frustrating to me, okay? So instead, what we want to do is we want to do this 2 times a year. We're going to take it, and it's going to be sort of an open atmosphere where we're going to have these core tests that we think are the ones that are going to show the most performance improvement, right? They're going to show health and aesthetic improvement, and they're going to really get back into some of these things, right? Making sure that we are progressing in our performance like we want to. Dublin and Lewis Center are going to do these in tandem, right? So we're going to have these tests. One of the tests that we know for sure is going to be Fight Gone Bad. Right? We love that test. It's a fantastic test. Okay. And we're going to do these. And I think we're going to try to do them on maybe Mondays at Dublin and maybe Saturdays at Lewis Center. And so if you have to miss a Monday at Dublin, you could go to Lewis Center. And if you have to miss a Saturday at Lewis Center, you could go to Dublin on a Monday. Right. And we're going to do them as a group. And then the idea being basically that we do these 2 times a year, much like the unknowns. Okay. So that's going to be a huge kind of piece of this. So Core 4 is going to be something that the name, we haven't figured out the structure of the name yet. We've gone through a bunch of different ones. If anybody comes up with some, I know we got some creative people here. If anybody comes up with any tricky names, please let me know. So the tester designs, we have hand-picked them, right, to show the best results. So these are the ones where I'm saying like, hey, if you want to look better, and you want to have a better performance, body, you want to be more capable, right? When you're like 40, 50, 60, you want to be able to help your, kids move into college and be carrying sofas upstairs and just be a total beast and be like, yeah, I wasn't even tired. Or, hey, I went hiking with some people this weekend who were like college athletes and I smoked them and I didn't feel tired at all and they were dead. Right. And you want to be that kind of guy or girl. You want to be that person who's like just absolutely like a stud in their 60s. Then these are the tests that we're going to try to handpick to make sure that that's kind of what we're focused on. So that's the goal there. If you improve on the Core 4, definitively more fit. And we're going to do that kind of once a week for about a month. So probably 4 weeks, 4 tests, Core 4, so on. Hope that makes sense. That in tandem with the level method testing is going to give you guys a couple different structures throughout the year so that you can constantly be seeing and working towards something to improve upon. You'll know the dates and times ahead of time for the Core 4, so you can be like, man, I really want to sink my teeth into Fight Gone Bad again. Like I really, I'm ready for it. I've improved so much. My cardio is so much better. I've been working on my skill of wall balls. I just think that, my squat's more developed. I just think I really can knock it out of the park. And I can say, awesome, that's coming up in August. Can't wait to watch you smoke it. Right. And then in tandem with your coaching track, you guys can be making sure that you focus on the pieces coming out of the Core 4 that you want to focus on the most. During those Core 4 sectors, right, we're going to make sure that we give out, tips and tricks and stuff for maximizing the workouts, maximizing the improvement. Same thing with the level method. We're going to, if we go to level method and we come back and we've got like 50 people who are like in that upper body pull and they're like, this is my track. I want to be moving. I want to be upper body pulling. That's my focus. I want pull-ups. I want to focus on it. I want to be better at it. Then what we can do, and why this is going to be fun for us to continue to communicate with coaches, we're going to be logging all this and pathing and tracking every single piece of this. So we know exactly how many people are in what track and what their focus is. Then we can start to run seminars and give out, in-depth resources on how to increase your hollow hold on a pull-up bar, how to do scap pull-ups, how to improve some of these core things. So you can do a basic gymnastics seminar and you guys can come on the weekends and make sure that you guys understand the core fundamentals. And we can give this little like, hey, do this for 5 minutes in the warm-up every day and you'll get better. Do this, for eight minutes after class, just pop on the bar during that transition time and make sure that you're getting in, 30, 40 pull-ups with a band and just make sure that we're getting those reps in. That's going to be key. And then obviously the key here, guys, on those days is we're going to have some really fun testing atmospheres. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of juice in the gym. We're going to know it's going to build. You're going to feel it. You're going to be like, oh yeah, like I'm amped. I've been waiting to sink my teeth in a Fight Gone Bad for 6 months ever since the last time when I came in like hungover and unprepared or something, right? And so that can be something that can be really fun. So expectations, and this will be our last slide, and then I'll see if I'm not sure if I can see comments or not. We will see. So expectations. So I want to see a sharper class testing structure with more long-term vision focus on when you guys, so where you're at in the cycles, where when you're going to be testing next, what we're testing on, what we're focused on. So that's going to be a key point of that. Then that gets back to that original question that was asked. Better execution of specific short and long-term goals. So making sure that you guys are actually really working closely with your coach to achieve both short and long-term goals, and that there's some degree of accountability on just testing that so we actually know it, and then improved coaching ability through clear communication. So those are the big things. We also are obviously going to be continuing to upgrade the facility and making sure that it's something that is constantly improving. And this year, it's been unfortunate. It always makes me sad when we see CrossFit gyms close or sell and go out of business or whatever it might be. And unfortunately, that's been happening a lot. And one of the big things that, I've focused on is trying to think about how can we constantly be creating a trajectory of improvement and making sure that we are constantly evolving and constantly changing. And I think a big piece of that is upgrading not only the facility, but also our systems and our coaching staff as well. And hopefully you guys feel like that upgrades you, right? That's the idea. And then our expectations of you, these really stick to our house rules here. Engage with one another and build relationships. And the biggest thing here, guys, is exiting your comfort zone. And we have to make sure that we get back to that change the world one friend at a time mentality. Is making sure that we understand that it is really scary sometimes, especially like if you guys are a 5:30 a.m. person, you guys have those big classes and there's a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, a lot of laughter, and it's kind of silly. But that can be a tough environment sometimes for people to come into, and making sure that we understand that, a smile and an introduction and being positive with people can go a really long way. Even though your comfort zone is hanging out with your core group of friends and the people you've been working out with for years, the people who you're in group chats with, who you love, who you, go out with on the weekends, and, they were in your weddings and so on, so on, so on. That's our comfort zone. Right? That's it. We're living in it when we come in. And I do want you guys to obviously enjoy your time, but I also want to make sure that just exit your comfort zone for a couple seconds, go over, introduce yourself to the new person, smile, ask them how it's going. How's the intro process been? How have classes been going? Okay, if you ever need anything, don't be afraid to ask, right? If you ever need a partner for a workout, I'd be happy to, and I'm here for you, and so on, right? And that stuff goes a really long way in the community. Smile, have fun, right? I think people take workout stuff too seriously. I think it gets back to that original question of, are you guys going to be doing traditional CrossFit at Lewis Center? We will be exercising with a high degree of intention, no matter what it's called, using CrossFit principles and methodology, right? Constantly varied functional movements performed at a high intensity. And I guarantee that we're going to be making sure that people are getting better and they're having fun and smiling while they do it. And that's really what I care about the most, is making sure that we have a low risk of injury. People enjoy working out and they smile and have fun, and they are getting better at what they want to get better at. And so that's a big focus here, whether that's called CrossFit or whether that's called, Bobby's boot camp or whatever we want to call it, doesn't really matter, right? It's the methodology behind it is CrossFit's methodology, and those original CrossFit documents about increasing work capacity, improving your health and fitness through nutrition, and making sure that we have a lifestyle of getting out and playing sports and being in nature and using our fitness for other fun and engaging things like playing basketball, playing spike ball, going on hikes on vacation, water skiing, anything that you guys love to do. And honestly, guys, it's one of the things that lights me up the most when I talk to you is when you guys tell me about stuff that you've gone out and done on vacation where you kind of need to be in shape to do it. Right. And you can see people light up about that stuff. And it really gets me excited, when they think about it, or they see their friends, they see their peers start to struggle with it, or they see their friends and peers start to, have surgeries or slow down or not be able to go and hike or not be able to play with their kids, and you're still able to. And I hope that that's probably the most important thing for some of you guys who do have kids. Meet and exceed your goals, dreams, and desires. That is my expectation, guys, is I do want you guys to make sure that you have some goal, some dream, something you're trying to get better at. I know my dream is to have more people around me that have dreams and goals and desires, to be around more people who are aspiring to get better. That's it. I just want to create more people that have something they're working towards with a passion, that are talking to other people about things with a passion and are trying to improve. And, I get shut down. It sucks energy away from me when people are stuck, are not trying to get better, are not trying to improve, and I hate that, and that bums me out, and I don't want that. I don't want that in my life, and I hope you guys don't either. Bring others along for the ride, and then be a top 10% person, and not just for you, right? Be an energy giver. Be somebody who is abundance mindset oriented. Be somebody who is actively going out and working to make others better, so that the other people in your life are also building you up when you're struggling, are also there for you to communicate things positively. And when we do that, guys, we are unbeatable. We can do anything. We can achieve anything. You can start businesses. You can start charities. You can give to other people. You can become more fit. You can meet a new spouse. You can have amazing kids and they grow up the way you want to and stuff that you believe in. So, those are some of my expectations for you guys. So let me see here. I've got a few minutes. I'm going to try to see if, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for the text. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to see if there are any comments. And let's see.
Become more fit. You
that's
can
me.
meet a new spouse. You can have a meet.
So Bobby asked if the level method implies being in the Browns column is elite. All right, so Bobby's trolling me. So I appreciate that. I anticipated that when Bobby asked me if there were going to be live comments. So no surprise. Love you, Bobby. Proud of you guys. And thank you guys. I stuck right to an hour. That was my goal today. I appreciate you guys listening. And thank you so much for continuing to believe in us and believe in the staff. And, just a quick shout out to those guys. Obviously, I'm a pretty fast moving person. I like to change. I like to adapt. I like to improve. And I think sometimes it's hard to keep up with that. And it takes a very special person and a very special team to continue to be engaged and be positive with a boss like that. And so I do expect a lot out of those guys, and they really never let me down. And so I'm so proud of them, and I hope that you guys are excited about some of these new changes. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope that 2020 is a year of just constant improvement and development for us as a community. And I hope that you guys really this kind of shows you just a little bit of behind the scenes of how hard we work to improve and how hard we work to try to give you guys better and give you guys more. And that'll continue to be my focus until I feel like I'm surrounded by 1,000 people who look at me and can tell me that can call me out on my stuff, can hold me accountable, and can talk to me about the ways that I need to improve and be an energy giver to me, and somebody who picks me up, and somebody who believes in me. If we all have that in our lives, we'll all be better for it. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a fantastic Saturday. If you guys spent any time with me during this feed, it means a lot. If you guys are going to listen to it on podcast, that means equally as much, or YouTube in the future. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.